Stuff's coming in at different times that I can't predict. What did come in to where I can start working on is the new choke cable for the new, oh look, here's all the heat shrink, I threw it in here. So I got the new choke cable for the new switch. Hopefully it'll be nice and smooth. So I'm gonna go ahead and sleeve this, throw it on the bike. Golly, man, just to show y'all some of the shit you have to deal with. There's always a delay on something, but I'm glad I noticed this. So I was getting rid of the factory sleeving, and I'm gonna custom sleeve it with this braided shit that I already bought. And I'm going to get rid of these connectors. These quick connects that are actually waterproof. Apparently these are the easiest ones to work with, and I do see why. So these are waterproof on the pin side and on the quick connect side. I don't worry about it. I'm not even gonna put dielectric grease. I mean, I might. So I'm de-sleeving the factory harness, and I came across this, and I don't know if it's gonna pick it up. These wires were rubbing the frame. There's like 8 of them. Whenever I turn the light on, there's like 8 of them, if not more. This stuff is so stiff and brittle. You know what? So it was $100 for a new wire harness. So I went ahead and ordered a whole new wiring harness. The delays that you come across, I ordered it. We'll see when it comes in. All right, so what I'm doing now is, I know for a fact I can mount this right here, which is my winch control. And actually, I really think it's supposed to go down here. What I can do is bundle these 2 wires together with like heat shrink, have this one come out of that one and them both be tied in together. So what I'm doing now is I've already cut some of the factory quick connects off. I heat shrinked it to hold these wires in place just for a second, just so I can run the sleeving up to here, bundle them together. I got them damn near spot on. So it's gonna look like this. It's gonna be a one sleeve that's gonna cover both of them, then they're gonna split off. So I got that. And the heat shrinking that I use, if you heat it up enough, it releases like some glue. So I mean, it's on there. I'm sure y'all have already seen this, but I did finally get the eyelids in. So now the little bit of yellow wire that was showing is no longer showing. I mean, yeah, you can still see it up close, but from a distance you can't see it. So it's all good. I fucks with it. All right, so I got the new wiring harness in, and what I'm gonna do is go ahead and undo all this factory electrical tape job, because we're going to sleeve it. So I'm going to go ahead and break into it, undo everything, and actually some of these wires can come out, like 3 wires can come out of it. All right, so I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So I got the harness, I got all the sleeving taken off. I got 2 wires out so far. I haven't gotten a chance to take out the wires for like the reverse indicator in the neutral light, because the neutral light I'm just going to splice in with a ground, and to do that, anything that's dark green on a Honda is ground. What I went ahead and did was I got these push button switches. They can only handle like 3 amps a piece. So I got them installed. They're 16 millimeters. They fit right in. You still got the little grooves on the side. So a 19 millimeter would actually fit perfect. You just have to waddle out the hole, drill out the hole a little bit bigger, but I didn't want to have to do all that and not be able to put lights back into it. I sleeved the ignition wire, ignition switch wire, so that is sleeved. I'm going to sleeve these in with the factory harness and just use these as the quick connects. Now, these aren't the most waterproof thing in the world. These, I think, have an IP rating of 65, so, and it's on the handlebar, so it's not just going to stay underwater 24/7. This is where it's going to sleeve into, right here, and then these would just be the quick connects. Now, I'll put dielectric grease, make it work. Looks pretty decent whenever it's installed. I think it looks pretty slick. So when I turn the key on, the neutral light is going to stay on, kind of as a indicator light that the bike is actually getting power and that no fuses are blown. So whenever you push it, the rock lights are going to come on, but the green light will always stay illuminated, because I'm going to connect the green wires, the LED light, to the harness, and then connect the switch to the relays, which I'll get to that in a second. The oil temp light will the light ring is red, will function normal. So whenever you turn the key on, it'll do the little test light, and then it'll go away. Now, if you push it, the whip lights will come on. I'm going to run a wire to the relay box, and if I do decide to run whip lights, just tie into the relay box. The reverse light, however, because of the gear reduction, this wire is no use, and like I said, this is the green for the neutral. I'm just going to ground that out somewhere else. Now, this is your oil temp sensor. So really, I'll just have one wire running to that 3-pin connector. So I'm going to take out those other wires and not have to worry about it. The reverse light is not going to illuminate unless it's pressed. Whenever you press it, it will illuminate white, and it will also activate the reverse light that I still need to work on to get that touched up. I also need to go through the wiring harness and figure out whenever you turn the switch on, which wire is that, which I believe it is this brown one. It's either the brown one or, oh wait, no, that's your starter wire. It's either the green or the brown. I got a wiring diagram. I'll look at it. Whenever the switch comes on, that will activate the running lights on the rear light. I'm not worried about, I don't think that's that many amps, so that should be able to handle it. Also, whenever I get the brake lever back from powder coat, that micro switch will be connected directly to the brake light feature on that brake light as well. The only reason why I am running this reverse light, whenever you actuate this, it turns on the reverse light on the brake light, is because I think these switches can only handle like 2 or 3 amps. I'm not for sure. I know it's not that much. So just for the sake of not wanting to burn up the switches, that is why I'm doing that. That's why none of the other ones are going to relay, because if you think about it, the factory headlights were like 55 watts a piece. And I know that brake light's not a lot of wattage. It just makes it easier to just have all of those run to a relay box. That way, say I want to switch one of those switches around or whatever, for whatever reason, I can just do it back here and worry about that later. Getting to this, I have the battery up front, the normal one, and then I have a relay box, 6 fuses, 6 relays. What I'm going to do is 2 of these fuses are just going to be used for the main fuses on the bike. So 2 of these relays are just going to be plugged. I'm going to have a relay for the headlights, a relay for the rock lights, a relay for the big ass bright light bar, and a relay for the whip lights. So this is just enough for what I need to get everything situated. As far as the wet sounds bar, which I got to put back on, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to put the fuse in here or not. I will see. I'll see how to do that, because usually you'll have a fuse, then you'll have a relay right after the fuse. That way I can eliminate stuff like this. Just have a main wire come off the solenoid. Come off the battery, go to the solenoid, and then do what it's got to do. So, which that's going to get repinned, rewired to the fuse box. Now, I need to mount it sideways like this, the way the battery can fit in sideways like this, but trying to get to the screws for the bottom of this would not be the easiest thing in the world. I'm going to have to figure something out, but honestly, it's wedged in there good enough to where I don't even think I have to worry about screwing it down, but I would still like to screw it down. So now I'm about to splice these in. Also, I ripped out a pink wire. The green wire was just a random optional wire. So was the pink wire, but the pink wire actually comes off the ignition. So that if you see, I have a pin that's missing. And if you look on here, I have all 4 pins are installed. Well, you probably can't see that, but all 4 pins are installed. So it turns out the pink and white wire comes off of a fuse, runs to the switch, and that's like your accessory wire for whenever you turn the switch on, all your accessories come on, like the factory thing that used to be here that I ripped out. I don't need it. I'm actually going to mount something here as far as like trickle charging to keep the battery charged. I'll run a wire for that. I have those wired up on this side. I ripped it out of the factory harness. So I have an extra pin that ties into the solid pink wire, which is the other side of the switch. So the red wire for the winch is going to tie into that. That way when I turn the key on, boom, now my winch can be powered. That way it's not constantly powered. I know what you're thinking, well, why wouldn't you run that as your 12-volt hot for all your switches? Well, I want to be able to turn the rock lights on without the key having to be on. I want to be able to turn the whip lights on without the key having to be on. So that I do want to be able to turn on. Same thing with the wet sounds bar. I've always wanted to be able to turn that on without having to have the key itself on. I don't want the winch always on though. I don't want to bump into something and something get fucked up. So I'm happy about that. So now I just got to figure out how I'm going to sleeve that in there. I need to, because I'm putting the headlights, because I got 4 of them and they're bright as shit. I don't know. I got to look at the wattage. These are going to go run to relays. You got your high and your low and the ground. I think I might be able to cut this ground out because these are just going to run straight back to the relay box. This is your kill switch, these 2 wires, and these are your headlights, starter button, high and low. Or one's starter, ground, headlights on, and then high and low come off of that switch over there, or something like that. Even though there's 3 and 2 pins and they're separate connectors, I'm going to combine these into one connector. I'm just doing little by little and going slowly with it because this shit definitely takes a lot of time. So I'm going to see what I'm going to end up doing next. So I got it hooked up. Well, at least I got one of them hooked up so far. And after looking at the schematics for the wiring diagram, I realized that whenever you turn the ignition switch on, your red wire coming in is your hot from the battery. The black coming out is your hot after the switch. I wasn't thinking I hooked the black to the black and the red to this, which this technically your ground, because this is your hot coming from the switch. And then once this wire gets grounded, then the light comes on. So I actually, instead of redoing that, I'm just going to de-pin it and flip these wires around real quick. All right, so I got them in, and these are just the extra wires. So I have my neutral light, which is the green and red right there, and I got my oil light. So those, like I said, are going to override those switch lights. So whenever you push it, you're just going to have to know that it's on by the lights being on, so it's fairly easy. Now, as far as the reverse light, which is the one that I put an R on, that's the one that has all the red and black and the blue and the green wire. That's because when I push the switch, I want the light to come on. So I'm gonna have to run new wires for that. Those will come in the mail shortly. And then these other blue and green wires, that is the actual whenever you push the switch. So that is what that's what closes the circuit, which allows whatever you want to come on, which in this case is going to turn on a relay, which will then in return send power to whatever I need to send power to. I removed a black wire and I removed a gray wire. The gray wire is what came from here, which tells your four-wheeler when it's in reverse, which mine has the gear reduction, so it doesn't. So that gray wire I clipped, and that's getting a new pin anyway. And I cut the black wire, which indeed was the hot. So I cut the black and I put heat shrinking over it because I didn't want to go into this just yet. So there's that. The bike cannot start unless it's in neutral. I believe what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this back and find the nearest ground. Everything that is dark green is ground on this bike. I'm going to trace these up as far as I can go to where they're both together and ground them. That way the bike knows it is in neutral. Which you have to do that because the bike needs to know that it's in neutral so that it will start. The easiest thing might be just to go ahead and cut it right here, ground it down right here. I got these wires are sleeved now, coming off of the stator. There's the 2 new quick connects on it. I also got the oil temperature sensor sleeved. I just got a bolted down. There's a screw that goes right here that holds all the wires down. There's the quick connect for that one. On the harness, the gray one was reversed. The green one is neutral. The blue one is the only one that's left. So the blue one is going to be on its own new quick connect. All right, so I got that bad boy installed. I got the 2 wires ran into here for the quick connect for this. And then I have the 3-pin connected right there, which is connected to the factory harness, which comes off the stator, then it runs up in there like it's supposed to. As far as everything that's attached to the motor or the frame is done, now we just have to run the harness, add the wires that need to be added. I need to mount the fuse box where it needs to go, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a negative wire, and I'm just going to have these as a negative trigger wire for the relays because it'd be a lot easier than having a power wire and all that bullshit. At least that's what I'm thinking. All right, guys, sorry for the jump cut. This is a whole nother different day. There were some parts I didn't have. I didn't have my bulk order of 14 gauge and 18 gauge wire that I needed to wire up the switches. I didn't have my relays in for the fuse box. I didn't have my fuses in for the fuse box, which you can get those at O'Reilly's. I get it, but I ordered it on Amazon. There's a couple other things I didn't have that are finally in the mail that allows me to go ahead and finish this up. So that's going to wrap it up for this video because I try to keep these videos around 10 to 12 minutes anyway, and we're already at 15 minutes, so this video is already running longer than what it needs to be. And to start the next section, I guess you want to say, or the next chapter, we're going to have to start a different video. So I guess just a heads up, the goal is to finish adding new wires for the switches on the dashboard, add new wires for the rock lights, which those all have quick connects on them, or they're going to. They might already have them. This might, like I said, I might have already done it. And stuff like that. And another thing I want to try to do is put a quick connect on the wet sounds bar, because that is a pain in the ass whenever you take the front of the four-wheeler apart and you have that long wire running all the way back to the four-wheeler. So I want everything look nice and neat. I'm gonna try to figure a way to put a quick connect on that while maintaining the RCAs if I ever wanted to put, say, some tower speakers on the front of the four-wheeler or something like that. So that will be in the next video. I appreciate y'all being patient. These videos, I'm doing them around work, so there's only so many days I get to work on these, especially edit and post and upload. But little by little, we are slowly getting this thing done. I'm excited to see it come together. I'm still waiting on the lift, still waiting on powder coat. So I would say we're halfway there, but I don't want to rush anything. So anytime I lose patience, I just stop what I'm doing, put everything up, and wait another day. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all stay tuned.